Whew. All right, so I just did a walk around. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I think I'll just have it as like B-roll footage playing in the background. So yeah, finally daytime video. You can see I'm right here. Yeah, today I just want to talk about what it's been like daily driving this car, you know, as we drive it during the day. Finally, no nighttime video or dark video. Last video I recorded at like 6, no, earlier than that, 5 in the morning. So yeah, this car, daily driving it, it's nice. It's I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say it's not hard on your body like you would expect from a sports car. That was a terrible shift. It's actually very, very nice. It's very nice to drive during the day. I mean, it's stiff, don't get me wrong. It can be hard on your body if you're somebody that's not used to I guess stiffer suspension. But then again, when you're picking a car like this, or when you're driving a car like this, you know what you're getting into. But then again, this thing's almost, or it's turned 20 years old this year, so you're going to expect stiffness. But with a car that old, it's softened up, especially because holy crap, it's stock. It's essentially stock. I mean, I have done things to it. I'll talk about that later or at some point. And it's actually had things done to it before I bought it, so it's not 100% stock, but really it's stock. Like nothing crazy has been done to it. Nothing has been done to it to make it a performance beast, you know. Still just a stock Mazdaspeed 6, but this car is even stock, you know, this thing is nice. Definitely more than enough power for daily driving. One thing you need to remember when driving a car like this is that it will swallow gas. And when I say it'll swallow gas, let's say you're doing 30-minute drives multiple times a day. Like, let's say because for me, for example, I average 30-minute drives for the most part. It's like from my house to my job, 30 minutes. From my house to my girl's house, 30 minutes. Like, in a turbo manual, I'm putting gas, like right now I got half a tank. I'm putting gas in this thing almost twice a week. That's insane. And that's even more insane when you realize it has to be premium, because you shouldn't be putting regular in here. Now, I don't know what the rules are. I put premium because, you know, that's the rule. You got a turbo, you put premium. However, modern cars, and apparently these cars even back then, could take regular. You just lose performance, but I don't want to risk that. I did have regular get put into this car once when I first bought the car. I think I mentioned that in the last video. And that, like, the car was not happy. So I don't think whatever technology we have developed to be putting regular fuel into these sports cars was not around when this car was made. And apparently this was one of the first direct injection cars, so having regular fuel directly injected into the engine, I don't think the engine was too happy about that. But then again, like I said, I don't know too much about anything, so I'm just going by what I know. What I know is safe to do, so I'm just gonna do that. And obviously everybody knows premium fuel That's what you put in a sports car. So higher the octane, the better. Gas stations around me, it's mainly 93. But yeah, I'm putting gas a lot. And if you're planning on getting a car like this, any car like this, whether it's a Speed 3, Speed 6, Subaru, whatever you're thinking of getting that's a turbo, anything, be prepared to put gas in it. I mean, unless you're driving a modern car, you know, they've got their ability to have better fuel mileage. But I think you get the point. Handling. This car handle, it's a Mazda, man. This thing handles nice. I love taking it around corners. What really surprised me with this car was how well it handled in the snow. Because I know everybody talks about like how much better Subaru and Mitsubishi's all-wheel drive systems were compared to other companies like Mazda, for example. I don't think there's much of a difference here. I mean, yeah, Subaru's more sporty, more rally heritage, definitely more than Mazda. But Mazda's got its heritage. There's the man, I don't wanna mess up the name because then nobody will know what I'm talking about. But Mazda had their little rally hatchback back in the day. I don't think it was ever sold to people though. I think it was just a rally car. But that thing was all-wheel drive, you know, and this was back in the day. Wish I remember the year that car was made. Wow. But this all-wheel drive system is amazing. The way it kicked in when I first took it out to drive in the snow, I was turning a corner, and like I said before in the second video, this is a front-wheel drive biased all-wheel drive system, which in my opinion is not as superior as let's say a rear biased system like the GTR, for example. But it's good, man. I was gonna crash. I was actually gonna crash. I went to turn a corner. Turbo sounds so good. I went to turn a corner by my house, and this was during the snowstorm. The streets were already covered, and I started sliding. I was like, oh, I'm gonna crash. I'm gonna slide right into that curb. I gave it a little bit of gas. This thing kicked in the rear wheels, and I got around that corner, and it was like the coolest drift I think I've ever done in my life by accident. Besides the one that ended up putting this car out of commission for a while, which is the drift into my driveway into a gigantic bank of snow. Yeah, that wasn't fun, but it was cool. And this car is so much fun in the snow. You got no idea. You got no idea. So if you live in a snowy area and you don't want to buy a truck, this is definitely the thing to get. Or, you know, the other cars. The other cars are boring, man. Like, everybody's got one. Especially the way the Subaru is now. The modern Subarus, they're just so boring, man. They're ugly as hell, but that's my opinion. You want to fight me about it, you can leave a comment. But the new Subarus, they're not what they used to be. They're common traffic now, bro. They're boring, no personality. They do what they're supposed to do, you know. They're like, all right, I'm about to go on a rant, but I was about to bring in the Breeze and the BRZ and the the GR86s. I hate those cars. Well, I don't hate them, but I dislike those cars. But I'll have that conversation in another video. I don't want to do that now. Let's focus on this. This car, you know, it's different. A lot of road noise though. If you're looking for a sporty, quiet experience, this is not the car for you. I will say that. I also have, I think I have gaps in the doors. I know there's something definitely going on over here that's been like really bothering me since I bought the car. You can just hear wind coming through, and it feels like there's a window open or the door slightly open, and it's not. This thing is fun to drive any day. And it's funny, like I genuinely get sad when I can't drive this car. When it's having one of those months where it's broken and I gotta wait for it to get fixed, or I gotta wait for parts to come in, and I'm stuck driving my sister's. My sister drives a 2005 Audi A4 convertible, and that thing is nice. Don't get me wrong, that thing is really nice, but it's not fun. I don't know how to describe it. Like, driving this thing is fun. Having an automatic is nice when you're being lazy, but if you're somebody that's into driver's cars, this is the thing to get, man. Or anything manual. Once you get a manual and you get used to controlling the transmission and the speed yourself, it's hard to go back. I learned how to drive from my driver's test. At least I learned driving my dad's CX-5, his Mazda CX-5. And you know, when you're learning, every car is fun to drive, but when your first car becomes a manual and then you get stuck having to drive an automatic, it's an automatic with some power. The A4 is not a slow car, but it's definitely not as fun as being able to shift like this. You can't go wrong with this thing, man. And if you do manage to find one, hopefully you get one that's in better condition than the one I got. And don't make the mistakes I made when I got it. Change the oil on time. You treat this car nice, and you'll have a good time. Same thing with the Speed 3. The front half of the Speed 3 is this car. Literally, it's literally. I mean, at least the first gen. I mean, even the second gen, the front half of that car is this car. This car came out first, and then Mazda essentially just took from the back of the driver's seats back and made it a hatchback and got rid of the all-wheel drive system. What a lot of people don't know is that the rear axle of this car came from the RX-8. That's how they got the all-wheel drive system. A lot of people don't realize this, but Mazda's not a big company. Mazda's an extremely small car company. But they release bangers, man. The RX-7, the RX-8, those rear-wheel drive monsters, this axle is the RX-8's axle. And they configured it into an all-wheel drive system between their regular front-wheel drive system and their rear-wheel drive system. They put it together, and you got this. And this thing is insane for what it is, you know. Now, don't expect it to be like a spaceship, because it's not. That's not what it's meant to be. You want to go around beating the standard Honda Civics, the standard Acuras, the standard SIs, and all those cars, and be different while doing it, this is the car to get.